This tutorial looks at the pre-load pop, where you first pop your board from the water and drop your weight down before taking off. You might also call this a drop and pop because crucially, dropping your weight down like this can help you apply a stronger edge very briefly. What is it about dropping that can help you edge harder? If you compare jumping from a static position to jumping after falling, you'll get a clue as to what's going on. If you begin falling, your feet will apply a high force to the ground as you touch down. At first, this high force decelerates your drop, before going on to accelerate you upwards. Whereas if you begin static, the higher force that you apply goes straight into accelerating you upwards. Basically, when you begin falling, your feet can apply more force or a high force for longer. That can sometimes help with a kitesurfing takeoff because the second before you launch, you need to edge very hard, and more foot force might enable you to do that. With that in mind, let's explain how to drop and pop. Ride in with plenty of speed and a strong edge, much like a normal takeoff. When practiced, you can in fact ride in a bit faster than you can normally handle. Steer the kite up. I'll explain the kite timing a bit more later. You then do a small pre-pop. This is barely a pop-up, you're not trying to gain much height at all, just getting your board up and out of the water cleanly. You then tuck in your legs and let yourself drop down towards the water. At this point, your weight is hitting the water, and for just over half a second, you'll be able to press in your edge harder than normal. So you must very quickly try to turn your speed upwind, aiming for a sharper takeoff than normal. Keep your ass close to the water, press down hard on your back foot's heel, and extend your back leg away to turn your course upwind sharply. While edging, keep the bar out of course so the kite doesn't fight you. As soon as you get yourself moving upwind, pull the bar to launch, while also kicking hard on the back leg and extending your body away from the board to pop off aggressively. Let's look at that riding the other way. Ride with high speed and a firm edge. With experience, approach slightly faster than normal. Steer the kite up. Do a minor pop and tuck in your legs. As you impact the water, try to carve upwind sharply. Keep your hips low, push on the heel of your back foot more, and extend your back leg away while keeping the bar out. If you time it well, the kite should be about to hit 12 as you've turned your speed upwind, at which point you pull in the bar to launch. The timing of a drop and pop is more tricky than normal. Ideally, you want the kite to be just about hitting 12, not passing it as you finish the carve upwind. The timing you use to steer the kite will change depending on kite size and wind speed. This is recorded in about 17 knots on a 12 meter squared kite. With larger kites or lighter wind like this, the kite needs more time to climb, so you steer the kite up about a second before the small pre-pop. However, if there's a bit more wind or with a 9 or 10 meter squared kite, the kite needs much less time to climb to 12, so in that case you steer up later, about the same time as you start popping the board out of the water. In even more wind, or with a highly responsive 7 or 8 meter squared kite, the kite can reach 12 very quickly, in which case you'd steer the kite up later, just after popping the board from the water. The exact timing you'll need to refine and practice for yourself. Just remember, the goal is for the kite to be just about hitting 12 after a very short, sharp carve upwind to take off. Getting the timing wrong is an easy way to spoil a preload pop. If you steer too early, the kite will cross 12 onto the backhand side of 12 before you take off, where it will start to slow you down. If you steer too late, you end up waiting for the kite to reach 12 and no longer have the temporary extra foot pressure from dropping. One of the easiest mistakes to make is to drop and then use a longer carve upwind to take off. The drop and pop only gives you extra edge pressure for just over half a second. So, if you drop, ride level for a while, and then pop a few seconds later, you've pretty much lost all the extra edging potential. Similarly, it's also important that you don't pre-pop and then put your board underneath you as you land. Then you have to re-engage your hillside edge before you carve upwind, which takes too long. You want to pre-pop, then keep your board in front of you so that you can drop down straight into a hillside edge like this. Depending on the conditions and your skill level, preload pops can spoil your jumps. For the majority of kiters, the added complexity of a drop and pop will just spoil your timing or your edging. If you're still busy perfecting your normal takeoffs, a preload pop is an unnecessary complication. Preload pops tend to not help much in light wind below 18 knots. If the wind is so light that you're working hard to get enough board speed, then the preload pop doesn't help. That's because a preload pop actually sheds a little speed, especially in light wind. That's why I said earlier you can approach the pre-pop with a bit more speed than you can normally handle in a takeoff. At the other extreme, pre-pops are not helpful in very strong wind. If the kite is powerful enough that you are fighting to keep an edge at all, then after a pre-pop you'll just end up with an inferior edge anyway. The pre-pop is also very hard to pull off in choppy conditions. In choppy conditions, most people are better off timing their jumps with kickers anyway. So, preload pops suit flatter water and being nicely powered in medium to strong wind. I hope this helps you learn the preload pop, or at least know if you should avoid it. Thanks for watching and supporting my channel.